you want to know the best teams and equipments to run Ultra Super Perfect Cell, well, you need to know how to use him first. Ultra Super Perfect Cell is a red unit, and you should also hold in mind that he's going to be very blast heavy. He's an Ultra, so his Ultra ability you need to consider, if you're not running him on the leader slot, it's based on androids. He has blast armor on his strike, he has anti-blast armor similar to Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. His green card is a beam that can chain every single art card he has. His ultimate is insane, and if you get the huge success on the tap actions art, you can get your vanish back 100%. He has a time type gauge, but once it fills, it becomes a release type gauge, and the difference is a time type gauge will fill up naturally going up to 100%, but it will turn to the release type gauge once it gets to 100% and gradually start winding down to 0%. And then it will reset the same way. He'll be super buffed during the time that his gauge is at a release type. And some other things that are crucial to note. He permanently nullifies endurance. He'll gradually be healing the whole game. He has Goku Black Rose's cover null, which applies to the enemy. And he has endurance plus buff cancellation. That's everything you need to know. Let's get into the teams and equipments now. Okay, so the first team we've got here is androids, and will most probably be his most popular team because androids have got a lot of buffs recently. The 1% 17, the 1% 18. They even gave MVP 17 a plat, and now we've also got Ultra Super Perfect Cell. You see here I've got Super 17, MVP 17, and the missing slot there will be Ultra Super Perfect Cell, so I plan to run a red, blue if I do go for him. But here we've been Zenkai buffing him and basically just having MVP 17 doing what he does with his plat. He's superb. But let's go into the other options that you can consider on this team, because there are a lot of good options. Not as many as other teams, but there's still quite a few. So if we look at the blue, MVP 17 is going to be your main man. But I'm not going to lie, if you have these guys, Cell and Frieza, maybe 9 stars or above, I'd recommend 14 though. You can run them, so don't put them to the side. In the greens, out of the ones I have, I wouldn't necessarily recommend any of these. Maybe this Android 16, but he's a melee type. You know, he's one of the newer ones and can be quite surprising. Also, maybe the Zenkai Cell, but also I wouldn't just recommend them. I would just stay away from running greens in general if you're using androids. In the purple section, the Zenkai Cell is going to be your best man, so bear that in mind. He's going to be super valuable, but you could also run this guy if you have him like 9 stars or above. Potentially, I'd advise specifically 14 stars. Specifically 14 stars because he's quite outdated, but he could still be good here and there. Also consider the fact that he's the type to just blow up, so you need to play him to his strengths, which might not be what you want to do when you will have all these other powerhouse options, you know what I'm saying? Yellow, we got Gammas 1 and 2. I would only advise if you have them like 9 stars, but with their plat, they're really underrated and you have to play them to their strengths. So you have to consider the fact that they're going to do that final explosion, and you need to time that correctly to get the benefits out of them. Free to play 18 could be a nice support factor. I wouldn't put it as one of your strongest forces, but the yellows here that I have are not very strong. And then the reds, we've got of course Super 17, and then we'd also have Super Perfect Cell here, the revival one. He's a Zenkai buffer as well, which can be nice. Now let's look at the two I don't have, which are the main 2 important ones that I was just talking about. The 1% sparking Android 18. The good thing about these guys, and I really want to emphasize it, is that if you're running them with a 17 and with an 18 accordingly, they will get the permanent nullification of endurance, which allows you to make a full team of nullifying endurance. So if you run 18 with a 17 and 17 with an 18, and it doesn't have to be specifically them two, it can be any 17, any 18, and running them together as long as you're running one of these 1% sparkings. So for example, if I wanted to use Android 18, the yellow one I just went to, I could pair her with Super 17 and she will nullify endurance, which is really cool. But here, let me just show you as well. If he's running the 18, he gets permanently nullifying endurance, and we know Cell does that. So androids is pretty stacked. Even though they don't have as many options as other teams, they still got good options, which is worthy of note. Right, so we got the second team, which is going to be powerful opponents, and have decided to use the red Cell, the very first Cell I think that dropped in Dragon Ball Legends, as a placeholder for the Ultra Super Perfect Cell, because he's also red anyways, so it just fits. So if you see that red Cell there, he's going to just be a placeholder. But I've got Super 17 going for the Android buff route. These guys, Super 17 and Super Perfect Cell, oh my knee, share a lot of the same placeholders, which is nice. And then I've got Kid Buu here making the team very blast orientated. That's what you want to do, so you can get a lot of damage out, especially with the anti-blast. That's going to be super useful for any range type team that you're going to be running Cell with. But yeah, these are just 3 that I've been thinking of, but they're not the only ones. Let's get into the other powerful opponent contenders. So if we're looking at the blue section, I've got Kid Buu there. Out of the ones I have, we're going to get into the ones I don't have down below. And I honestly think Kid Buu is the best option out of the ones I have, of course. Going into the greens, if I was going to run anybody, it wouldn't really mesh well. We've got Goku Black Rose with his plaque, could be nice, but he's melee orientated, so that kind of throw off the team. We've got Evil Majin Buu here. He could just be a nice tank, but it pretty much throw off the team as well, so I wouldn't exactly push any of these greens, honestly. They're not looking the greatest. Looking at the purples, you have some options. So Cell, but that's moving it into androids again. Now the other Cell I spoke about, which is moving it into androids again. Golden Frieza, but very melee orientated, so it pretty much just stinks. And even Jiren here, he's just quite outdated. If you wanted to run him at 14 stars with Zenkai, as him Zenkai 7, it still wouldn't be great, but I'm not gonna say count him out completely as explosive green. He can just be built to tank hits, but is he tanking in 2025? You can be the test of that, but I'm not advising for it. In the yellows here, I even think Kid Buu here is he's gonna be. Well, he has blast damage actually. You could run him blast based, I think, but I think he's built to like benefit strike more than anything. Like he changes blast cards into strike, so even him you wouldn't want to run, and he's not even great. Even if you had him 40 stars, wouldn't recommend. Super Baby 2 here, he's melee orientated. All of these yellows here are just supporting the melee route, so Powerful Opponent doesn't have many options, which is why I had Super 17 and Kid Buu on. But if we look at the options I don't have, because even the rest of the reds, besides from Cell again over here and Super 17 who I already showed you, it's all melee type. If we're looking at the characters I don't have, 17 and 18, again, it's Powerful Opponent, but it's moving into androids regardless. Omega Shenron is one that I do want to mention. He's a very good option with the Indestructible, helps that survivability factor of your team. Androids is a tough build if you want to keep it range type, you know. Zamasu, if you're going to run a melee, I would recommend him simply because he's one of the newer ones, so he's going to be a bit more stacked. And outside of that, a lot of these guys are just not looking to fit the team, so I wouldn't recommend. Androids and Powerful Opponents are pretty much fixed the same way. Like even Turles over here, does he do more blast damage? Let me turn on his maximum stats. He does do more blast damage, so maybe you want to consider him having that blue layer on your team. The comeback on his kit could be valuable to you. But yeah, it's basically looking like androids regardless, but there are some other contenders like Kid Buu, Omega Shenron, who I already mentioned. Now for the third and final team here, I've got Cell Saga, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about this team because there's literally going to be only 3 units that are worth your time. The Ultra Super Perfect Cell, the Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, who I have here, the Ultra, and then you have the Instant Transmission Goku. But what we're looking to do is put Ultra Cell on the leader slot, put Gohan there, and then of course the Goku, then make the rest of it Son family. And that would literally be what it is. It's Cell Saga, but it's not. And if you don't know who I'm talking about this Goku here, over here. Super Saiyan Goku here. He's a range type as well, so he adds to what we've just been building on. The whole team will be range type. Even if I went to Cell Saga and I showed you the options, which I usually do straight away, but it's pretty much buns. It's just going to lead into Android, which I already showed you, with the purple Cell, the other Cell there, the Cell here, maybe the Trunks, but I believe he's going to be built the other way more than anything else. So I wouldn't, you see he does more strike damage, I wouldn't exactly recommend him when you have Instant Transmission Goku and Ultra Gohan, which is why I didn't want to speak on this team that long. You literally have 3 fixed options if you want to run an optimal team with Ultra Cell. And Ultra Gohan, that's 2 anti-blast armor units, which would be insane. But yeah, that's Cell Saga. It's fixed, but you know it's going to work. I know I said Cell Saga was the third and final team, but I was forgetful. My bad. But I fact check now. We've got Future here. Future is a very, very solid team. But in this case, depending on how you're building it, the core would have to be androids, or you'd have to put Cell on the leader slot because his ultra ability is relying on androids. So bear that in mind. So in this case, Ultra Cell, Cell there, but I've got Vegeta Blue Leader. I'm going to go androids for the bench in some way, shape or form to buff Cell. But that's not the only way you can build it. Let's get into some other options here. So we got the character list here. We're looking at blue. I've mentioned this I said Trunks. Cell and Frieza before. High stars only, please. Going into the greens, we got Vegito here. Vegeto's going to be your main man and the rest are pretty much just buns. I'm not going to lie. Then going into the purples, I've mentioned this Cell before, but you could run this Vegeta potentially. Wouldn't recommend anybody else. I know there's going to be people that try to run this guy to build like a endurance nullification team, but you can just use the 17 and 18, the 1% sparkings. Then we've got the yellow options, which are pretty much stinkers, I'm not going to lie. The reds, again, there's just Cell. You've got Corrupted Zamasu, I guess, but that's pretty much it. Then out of the options I don't have, you got Trunks and Gohan, nice. Goku Black Rose, nice. 17, 18, and then obviously Zamasu and Trunks, but be wary of their type. So if they're melee oriented, range oriented, depending on how much damage you're trying to get out, you want it to be as consistent as and coherent as possible to get the most benefits out of it. But yeah, that's going to be it for future. The Ultras, I didn't show you them because it's only these two, and they're both melee orientated. So yeah, future as the last team, the real last team. Now we're getting into some leader slot options. These are integral because I know a lot of people won't necessarily run them on androids, run Super Perfect Cell, I don't know if I said them, run Super Perfect Cell on androids. So Ultra Gohan with the anti-blast armor, I'm pushing him very, very vitally because Cell also has that, so you'd have more anti-blast. It's going to be like every other card you're doing anti-blast, which makes blast armor pretty much rendered useless, which is crazy. But yeah, so we've got this guy and Cell together, they would work great. They're Cell Saga together, but if you're running them on a separate team like Son Family Core, that can work too. We've got Instant Transmission Goku, Cell Saga together as well, just naturally. We've got Omega Shenron, ranged, green, and indestructible. Nice, that's perfect. And the green protects the red from the blues, which is nice. We've got Beast Gohan, only pushing him because he's that insane. His special beam cannon is literally going to be so integral in taking out Cell because it goes type neutral and it can't be cancelled, the endurance nullification of it, which is nice. We've got Turles over here. Turles is a crazy guy just for his comeback. He can just be valuable, but I'm not pushing him as one of the best. He can just catch you off guard. He's a very good option. Super 17, one of the most fitting ones. The Zenkai buffs are aligned super perfect with Cell. And then we've got Vegito Blue. Range type future. Green protects reds from blues naturally. Good leader slot option right there. So now we've got some bench options. Android 21 Evil here is a HP buffer, which is going to be very useful for Cell if you're running them on androids. We've got here Broly, who's a powerful opponent, HP buffer, which is going to be very useful. And now we've got a bunch of Zenkai buffs. So we've got this Cell, we've got Zamasu here, we've got Fusion Android 13, we've got Goku Black Rose, we've got this Cell, we've also got Maya as a HP buffer. I didn't get every Zenkai buff. I believe Trunks and Maya is one that I missed. But yeah, they're also another option. There's a lot of Zenkai buffs to run, obviously depending on what team you're going for and how your other team, the team's built basically. But yeah, bench is pretty stacked for him. This equipment here is actually crazy. Kamehame, and it stops there. Base strike defense, you know, I think you can choose. No, you can't. But the special move ultimate damage is crazy with blast attack, which is exactly what not just Gohan, but now Cell need. So it's super nice for Cell Saga Z, and you can get this from Ultimate Equipment Collection, Cell Saga Z. This one's a nice one. This one here, not if I stop you. You get a nice balance of everything. Strike and blast defense on the first slot, strike attack on the second slot, and you can get a bunch of blast attack on the third slot. This one here is for future, and you can get this from Ultimate Equipment Collection, normal future. This is that pure attack if you're running him on powerful opponent, special move and ultimate damage. People always ask what is the difference between pure and base. So you see how it says 10% to own strike attack? It usually say base strike attack if it was separated. So if it doesn't say base, assume it's a pure. And what the difference is, just think about pure as a multiplier. The multiplier, you don't need as much of it as the base number, but if you add a multiplier onto a base number, the base number is going to get exponentially bigger. That's what multipliers do. So you need 2 equips with good base and then 1 multiplier to make the unit's damage really good. So in this case, it runs when you have 3 powerful opponent battle members, obviously including the Cell. He's a powerful opponent. It's very nice with the special move ultimate damage on the first slot. You get your strike pure and your blast pure, and you can get this from the dual coin exchange shop. This one here is another insane pure, especially since Cell will be healing a lot. Special move and health restoration here on the first slot. Then you get your pure for blast and strike based on the fact that you're running 3 androids, and that would obviously include Cell. You also get base blast and base strike, which is nice. And this is for androids here, and you can get this from the dual coin exchange shop. This one here is really nice. It gives you a good amount of everything. HP and health restoration are super valuable. Special move damage is super nice too, but then you can choose between strike and blast. Not necessarily choose, you have to re-roll, but you should aim for the blast attack because he's blast based. For future weapon builder, Cell's obviously a future unit. This is the awakened version, so you can get the awakenings, the memories for every single type, I believe, from the Zenkai Ultra Space Time Rush Drop. So you're gonna have to play that. Then you're gonna need the unawakened version to awaken that. You shouldn't grind this and use it, you should use it for awakenings, and you can get this from the equipment medal exchange shop. This one here is good, but it's just a lower tier version of the other ones I've showed you. But if you want specifically ultimate damage, I guess it's nice. You will die along with the earth, strike and blast attack. 12.5 and 15% blast is more leaning towards that direction, which is good for Cell. Special move ultimate damage on the last slot up to 10%. And you can't actually get it from this time, but where you can get it, there's going to be an event. I don't know if it will come back right now, but there's an event in the middle section. You know, the ones that cycle every 2 weeks, I believe, where you can get the adventures for 3 hours and 7 hours. It's a Cell one, and it will appear there, but it comes in and out. If you do have it, then nice. If you don't have it, then you don't need to worry about it because there's other options. If you're going for a more defensive build because you maybe just have one copy, this could be nice here. I see you decided to show yourself monster. You see here you get blast defense, HP, health restoration, and obviously if you're running Android tag regeneration, if he's that, Cell is that. So you're going to get that strike and blast defense, which is nice. You can get this from the equipment medal exchange shop. If you're running him on future, you got a pure future equipment here, which is really nice. We've got base strike defense here, blast attack, pure blast as well, strike attack, pure strike as well. The condition is running free future members. You can get this from the dual coin exchange shop. Now, I don't recommend running this, and I don't know for what reason you'd be running 3 regen characters, but if you want to up that blast damage specifically, you can get 21% out of this equipment for 3 regen characters. So Cell's going to be 1, that's flat 7, run another Cell, that's 14, and run another regen character, that's going to be 21%. That's crazy pure blast damage, crazy. But obviously the rest of it is just defenses, which isn't the greatest, but it's better than nothing. You can get this from the equipment collection, normal regeneration. This is the last one I'm going to show. It's literally called Perfect Cell. Base strike defense, blast attack, special move ultimate damage. Some good stuff here and there, but again, it's like a watered down one of what I've showed you before. But if you have it, it's nice and it's very accessible. You can see all of these here. The Perfect Cell, the super life form, the event, all the options are there. Now, before I end this video, there's a very high chance that there'll be new equipments and new awakenings as I'm recording this prior to Cell releasing. So bear that in mind, that if there's anything new, you should take a look at them, and they'll probably be very good and tailored specifically to Ultra Super Perfect Cell, which will be to your liking. So I'm just putting that as a disclaimer for the end of this video, because there's very likely, as every unit that releases gets a new equipment, going to be something that's as great for him or even better than what I showed in this video. But yeah, man, that's going to be the end of the video. I tried my best to give you guys the best teams, equipments, leader slots, everything that you need, even giving you a tutorial on how to use him the most effective way. This guy is super nice. Super Perfect Cell is super nice. Perfect, you could say. But hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you haven't already, make sure to press the subscribe button. We're on this grind to 200,000 subscribers. I appreciate you guys for watching the video, man. My name is Zakashi, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one, man.